Live on WFLA Now. This is Run for Fun with running enthusiast Lee Spann.
All right, welcome back to the Stream Center for this week's episode of Run for Fun. We designed this show to not solely focus on ways to get faster, but rather ways to enjoy the sport of running. Because when you enjoy something, guess what? You stick with it. And that's the little secret. The consistency, the showing up every day. That's how you become a stronger runner, not just focusing on how fast you can go. So I'm meteorologist Lee Spann. I'm meteorologist here at WFLA in Tampa, but also an avid runner. And I often say, I wish someone had told me all of these things that we talk about on the show. When I had started running, maybe I wouldn't have run myself into the ground so quickly. I certainly would have helped me love the sport sooner as well. And since that's something that I always say, we decided to make that the topic of the show. Look at the bottom of the screen. What do you wish you knew before you started running? So I'm going to bring in, of course, my coach, Coach Maria, one of the people, of course, that has taught me basically everything I know. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. So I want to talk to you because we both watched the Olympic trials. Now, they happened in our state, in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So we know a lot of people who are there cheering, they're volunteering.
I really toyed with going. I really toyed. But then we had friends coming into town and I said, why don't you guys come over early and we'll watch it on TV because then I can see everything. And I'm so glad I did because I got to see everything and it was so fun.
And so there were so many stories that came out of it. The men going 1-2.
Yeah.
I found that they showed them when, they were sort of in a pack. And one put their hand out and the other one slapped it. Mm-hmm. And then that's when the announcers were good. It was nice to hear the announcers hear what was going on. Was saying they're teammates. They ran at BYU together. They worked to make each other stronger.
Yep.
And it was basically them saying like, all right, let's go get this.
Yeah.
And then they did. And the winner was and they were running together because they only had to be 1 and 2. It didn't matter who was number one. And one was having a great race. Was like going into the crowd, slapping hands. The other one
He was underperforming, but he knew it didn't matter. He's like, it's just, they're going for first and second place. And they knew they had it.
Yes. So. And then he let his friend who was having a little bit more of a tough
which is
time
amazing.
Go
it's
on
fun
and get
it's
first.
fun to watch it. Like I was saying to the girls that we had over, I was like, if life worked like marathoning happens, and it would be so great because the women support the women and the men support the men. Mm-hmm. And like in our society, we struggle with that. Like a lot of men support men. But women aren't really great about supporting women. And I'm like, we need to use this. Like that pack of women was incredible. Like we haven't had a pack like that with all of those runners that are so good. We have such a good group of women right now in America running really fast marathons.
And not super young.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so nice to see some 40-year-old women out there in the top 5, top 6.
Yeah.
So
it was amazing to watch. And they all stuck together for a long time. Normally that pack breaks up a lot sooner. But they stayed together and worked together because it was warm, and it wasn't warm for us in Florida, I'm going to tell you. But it's a very good indication of what we deal with on a regular basis. I think people underestimate that. They're like, oh, Florida, it's not that bad. Well, it is bad.
Well, that was a good day.
Yeah, the dew point was like between 55 and 60, which is not ideal for running a marathon. And some of these people from Flagstaff and Colorado, they were struggling, even though they did heat training. Like it was tough.
And now I want to hear your thoughts because it blew my mind. And when I told my husband, he's like, no, that can't be right. That the woman, the female finisher, number one.
It was her first marathon.
Never ran a marathon. So, while she is super fast, she qualified with a half marathon time of just, under 107. Yeah. But you don't know what your body has. It was like she just knew it in her soul that she is going to be able to go those miles.
I do think, although they don't have experience in pacing, I think there is a kind of sweet spot. Like when you first do the marathon, like you don't know how bad it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know. And so the not knowing makes you able to be a little bit more aggressive. And she had nothing to lose. Yeah. Like she's like, I'll just be more aggressive and see how long I can stay. And she's not fighting any demons of the last 6 miles because she doesn't know what it feels like. And she had no expectations either because, like this is my first marathon. That's kind of a nice way to go into it, she's doing it, it's great. It was cool to see her do it.
It was, because you just think, okay, eventually these miles are going to get to you. If you've never in your life made it to 26, I'm assuming certainly not racing at that distance.
Yeah. It shows you how much potential she really does have.
Yeah,
like it's pretty cool to see her.
We're gonna be cheering her on in Paris.
Yeah.
It was again just a super fun Saturday to sit on the couch. I was drinking some champagne and eating Chick-fil-A nuggets and watching these amazing people do. Because anybody in the world anybody in America can qualify to be at that trial. So we had people that we know.
And interestingly enough, I read the stats after there were only 41 people that actually hit the Olympic standard in that race.
It was hard.
Because it was a hot race. And so I think it was good for my people to see, because I'm like, guys, like even the elites struggle in heat. You can't beat science. Like they struggle less than we do, but they still struggle. So they still struggle. And a lot of them did heat training, and still, like, it was blaring sun. It was 65 temperature, and that's just not ideal for running a marathon. So
yeah, we noticed I think the men, maybe at mile 6, started pouring water on themselves.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, that's a long way to go. So we're super proud of all of our Olympians now. I feel like.
And did you see O'Keefe? She had blood all over her
yes.
bib.
So I was wondering if that was gel that she'd spilled on herself. That was blood.
I thought that it looked like some of her bib had run.
Right.
She was pouring water on there. And then I saw yesterday that she said that she had a gel in her bra and it rubbed.
Oh,
and so it really
was blood.
Can you imagine the shower after that? I was like, oh gosh. But
she looked so
tough as nails, twice as nasty, that one. she's going places.
It was fun to watch her, like never, because you could see when the heat started to take over people, their facial expression changed. Hers got to it near the end, but it took her a long time.
But like Lindworm, like she was like shocked she got third place. She was like, why am I here? Like it was so fun.
I walked onto my Division II track team.
She's amazing. Like it's fun to watch now. I was sad that Sarah Hall didn't make it, like, and Cara D'Amato, just because it's such a cool thing. Like she's been in this sport for a long time, and to be able to stay healthy, to be at that level for that many years is so impressive. Like a lot of these girls only have 1 or 2 Olympics in them before their body just gives up. And she's been able to really like her and Allison Felix are just, to me, like people that just keep showing up, and they do it, correctly. They take the recovery seriously, and they're able to keep showing up. And so that was kind of sad, but she's had a long run, and she'll be back.
She'll be back.
Yeah,
I mean, she looks strong out there.
Yeah,
I mean, the last couple of years, American half marathon.
Yeah,
record.
I think the heat got her.
Yeah,
and they went out pretty aggressive. So, because that's the difference in elite sports to us. Like they're not trying to PR. They're trying to win. And they got to get first, second, and third place. And that's tough. Like it's kind of a mind game. They have to like pay attention to what people are doing around them, and sometimes they got to know their competitors, and it's a very tactical, mental strategy situation. Very different than what we do.
Very different. Yeah. We are only facing what we've done in the past. They have to face actual people and what they've been able to do. I found it very interesting and learning. We're going to bring it back to what do you wish you knew. To go back, a lot of these athletes are now writing their, on Instagram about what their race was like, whether it was a bad race or whether it was a good race. They say like, this is what happened. This was a good part. This was the bad part. And I mean, you can learn so much from someone who's their whole job is to do this, and we're trying to do it on a being a weekend warrior.
It's so different. And watching them go out in that pack, like whoever goes out in that pack and leads, if it's an aggressive pace and you're not ready to do it, that kind of goes there goes your race, or you can, but then there's like, if I want to run my own race and I want to stay back a little, like, is that going to beat me up mentally to know all these people are ahead of me? And it's so hard for them. Like, and that's the cool part. You just never know who's going to win. That's the cool part.
Yeah. Des said the same thing. She was like, I knew that I could run my race and I would have to have other people have a bad race. And she's like, but she went out there, she gave it all she had, but she knew that.
And what was she, 10th? Like, 10th,
she's still really good.
10th or 11th. And she was like, she's still running sub 230. it's unbelievable to me. Like these older women that are still crushing it. Like I love it. I just love it.
It was fun to see the older women and so many mamas out there. And one 7 months pregnant.
I know, it's crazy.
She didn't finish, but she went a long way.
I don't think it might have been dangerous in those conditions, but she was only planning on running 5 miles, and she was like, "Oh, I feel good. I'll just keep going." And I think she ran to like 18 or something, but good for her.
It was all wonderful. Okay, so now we'll get to what Maria and I did is we solicited these answers from people because, again, I often say I wish someone could have just told me all these things that we're talking about on the show when I started, and I really thought, Maria, I said this on TV today when we were telling people to listen to this. I thought we were going to get a lot of funny answers. I thought people would say like, "Oh, there's bathroom issues, and you'll never, you'll love porta potties or whatever it is." There was so much introspection on what do you wish you knew that I have loved reading these.
Well, so the funny part is, you know why I asked this question? Because I saw on another page that somebody asked a question. What would you tell your 21-year-old self now that you're in your 40s? What would you go back and tell your? And I'm like. I thought to myself, I'm like, I literally wrote on the post, nothing, because I would not have listened to a thing. Like when I was 21, I knew all the things, right?
Just like your son now knows all the things.
Everybody knows all the things, right? But, as we age, we learn that we really know a lot less than we think we do, and we should probably be more curious and ask more questions. And so that's why I was like, maybe we can get some of these newer runners to think differently, although... Would you really think that way if you're a new runner? I don't know.
I don't know. Because it Maria, the approach of being, slow and methodical and showing up every day is going to be, slow and steady, literally wins the race, as opposed to, you have to buy into that because it might, just like with a diet or anything like, yes, you can go on a crash diet, but is that going to be sustainable for the rest of your life? And it took a long time to get people to buy in.
Well, and unfortunately, like, human nature is that we learn from failing ourselves, which is why we should want failure, because that teaches us something. I don't even like to call it failure because it teaches you something, but a lot of us have to learn the hard way, and that's just kind of the way it is. I've learned that in coaching. Like, I can tell you all I want to tell any of you, but like until you guys really go through it yourself, you're not going to really understand it in the same way. So it was a cool exercise, and it was really cool to see people's answers, I thought.
So Maria posted it on her page, and then I posted it on my page, and we asked our Strava group, which if I didn't talk about it today, but we have the WFLA Run for Fun Strava group, where we're still sort of interacting with people. So we're going to start with just kind of showing you some of the answers, and Maria, you and I can kind of go through these. And
what was your answer? I don't remember what yours was.
The main one was to find friends.
Oh, that's right.
To run with friends. For one thing, they're the ones who taught me a lot. So, like, not only people think that running is such a solo individual sport.
Yeah.
And that's, okay, I think I want to start running. I'm going to put these shoes on. I'm going to go out there. I've been running since I was a child. What do I need to learn? Let me just go run. And that'll work for a while, and it'll be fine. But imagine if I had started running with people and started, just hearing them talk about what, their thought process on what shoes to buy, just hearing them, you learn so much. And so my first thing would be like, go find running friends, because that's how you're going to start learning to begin with. And it's way more fun.
Yeah, it is. And it'll keep you running, right? That's if it's fun, you'll keep going.
And then what was yours?
Well, mine was interesting because mine was be careful of the addiction of it, because we do have a tendency, like when we're a new runner, to become obsessed. And I see it with almost all of my new runners, and my seasoned runners get really frustrated with my new runners. And I always remind them, you were that jerk too. Like, and it really, like, it's varying levels of jerkness, but we get really obsessed with our easy run pace and our listen to my splits. Listen, I remember my husband saying to me, like, we go to bed thinking about your splits. We wake up talking about your splits. And I'm like, oh, this is not, and that wasn't the only reason, but it almost cost me my marriage because I was obsessed with running and my running friends. And it's an addiction like anything else. It can be an addiction. So you have to be really careful, especially if you have an addictive personality and you trade one addiction. A lot of people will, stop drinking and then they switch to running. And although it is a better addiction, it's still an addiction, and you have to be careful about the other people in your life.
And I just noticed, when I first started, especially the longer distances, once I started doing half marathons and then eventually the marathon, it's in your head so much, like you're thinking, okay, I need to run this mile, I need to go to bed at this time, that you tend to vomit that out to everyone.
Yes.
As it becomes not the thing, it doesn't fill my head up anymore.
Not anymore. It doesn't. But it used to.
It used to. So now I don't talk about it as much. But
or like the first time you run a marathon.
The first time you run it, that's all you talk about, because
and then
that's
all your friends
the
help
only
you.
thing in your brain.
And then all your friends help you get through the miles, and then your second and third marathon, you're like, where are my friends at? And they're like, well, you got through your first marathon. Now you got to get on with yourself. Like, it's not all about you. But I guess for those first couple of years of training hard, not even like I ran for years and didn't think about it. But when I first started training, I became like obsessed, because you see so many, PRs at first, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so good. If I got this fast, I'm going to be so fast. And you just get obsessed. So what I would tell myself is cool it.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, right?
All right, so let's talk about some of the answers responses we got. So our friend Suzanne, and I put this one first because it's Maria's big sticking point. Don't try to PR your training runs. That you should only go to the well on race day. And that's hard to tell people.
Workout hero, race day 0. It's my favorite.
Because it only, to the baby runner, as you can call it, you think, okay, I can run, if I run a mile at this speed, then tomorrow I'm going to run 2 miles at that speed. And then the third day I'm going to run. And so you're just pushing yourself hard every single day. And you're not going to last.
And I can't tell you how many times, Strava makes it easy. Like I see people on Strava and they're like, whoa, people will come to me and say, did you see that person's 20-mile run? He ran 20 miles at 8:20 pace. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be a rough marathon, because unless you're running like, a sub 3-hour marathon, your easy run pace should not be 8:20.
Right.
But people just don't understand the science behind running. And so at first they get really excited about posting up their big long runs. So
I did it. We all did it.
Yes.
We all did it. Because I one of my Facebook memories came up, and it was my first marathon. I just ran my first 18-miler. I showed my feet sort of up, but the first thing I wrote was, I did 18 miles in such and such time, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, forgot I was so dumb.
You go back on you're like, oh. Well, and you know what? I think because I started running, like training with elite athletes, they were like much faster than me. They didn't act like that. So thankfully, I never really learned that. I was like the slowest one on the track. So I didn't really talk like that. We didn't have social media either back then, so that helped. But
we actually got a Facebook comment. So because I solicited on our WFLA Facebook page, what would you tell yourself, or what do you wish you knew? And this person says they actually do prefer to run solo, but he's been running since he's a teen. He's in his 40s now. He says, put on headphones and go. Prioritize rest day, do strength training, switch your shoes, and never run more than 1 mile in the same, hold on, I can't see the rest of this comment. More than one run in the same shoes, and socks matter. Pee before and know the signs and symptoms of trots.
He knows what he's talking about. He's been around the game.
Boyd Holly, yes, you've been around. So thank you for that. Yes, I thought I would hear more gastrointestinal issues from people, but I'm glad that Boyd Holly brought that in for us.
Yeah.
Know those
great.
symptoms early.
Yes, for sure.
All right, Sandy Lake says, remember why you started. It'll be the motivation when it gets tough. And
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I love that, Sandy.
And
that's very good. And she's been running a long time, and she's older, and she's been crushing life. Now she's still crushing it, but that's awesome.
And that can happen, that can be a tough training runs, but really you just had it with our friend Lauren, like running a full marathon. She ran it for her mom. So that why, when it got tough, all you had to do was think back to that why.
Yep.
All right, Rachel, we had Rachel on the podcast about superstitions, but she says that recovery is important and prioritize sleep. This is where I started to feel like, as the answers started coming in, okay, people are using this more as what is running taught you about life? Yeah. And yes, recovery, what you're doing when you're not running is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't realize it. And it's, like we talk about a lot on the podcast, people saying, oh, I only slept 5 hours, but I got up and ran 20 miles. And I'm like, oh, it's like elite athletes don't do that, guys. Don't do it. They don't do it. They take naps. They sleep as much as they can. They prioritize recovery as much as they prioritize their workouts, because you can only train as hard as you recover. Like that's the cool part. But
and we were talking about in the Olympic trials that the two guys who trained together, they were saying one was very good at training and the other one was very good at recovery, like going to the saunas, and they were helping each other by that. What was the one that was better at recovery was showing the other one.
Where did you read that?
It was that's the announcers were talking.
Oh,
about.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, it was very interesting.
I would like to hear what he was doing.
And we have another Facebook comment from Joan Phillips. She says, "I never run with a headset." Because she wants to hear what's behind her. She said she was grabbed once and heard footsteps first, and so she was fortunate she was able to get away. So that would be a thing you might want to tell your early self is be
I always
careful
tell
out
people,
there.
and also ponytails for women. Don't wear a ponytail; it can be grabbed quickly.
Yeah. They've talked about that before, putting the ponytail, and I sort of giggled about it a little bit. Again, we always have to kind of giggle a little bit about life, but it's like runners are so easy to fall forward.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you can try to pull us back, but they don't with our ponytail. But if you just like tapped us on our shoulder, we would fall.
Yeah, exactly.
Pulling back is actually probably a harder thing, but we won't tell the murderers that.
No, don't tell the murderers.
Don't tell the murderers that. We'll fall over real fast. Don't pull us backwards.
Yeah.
And then I loved this one that Emily says that yes, you are a runner. Well, if you are out there, call yourself a runner. Be proud of it. I
got to tell you, last week I ran with somebody and I said, "Are you on Strava?" And she said, "No, I'm not good enough to be on Strava." I'm like, "What?" I have never heard that. Like, everybody's good enough to be on Strava. Yeah. Don't listen to that. Like, that is silly. We're all runners. I don't care.
Even if you walk?
Yep. Even if you jog. I'm a firm believer in jogging. It's really good for you. You're still a runner. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so, yes, you are a runner. You don't have to reach some milestone to become a runner. If you are going forward in shoes, you are a runner.
Yep.
And embrace it. All right, so this one's a fun one. This one came from our Strava group, Laura. I've actually interviewed Laura for a WFLA news story before. So the fun story about this is we were both running the same Gasparilla Distance Classic race many years ago. It might have been my very first one, so that would have been a long time ago. And there was a woman running in front of me, enough where I didn't really see her. But then I saw this huge sign come up, and it was like, "Laura, stop." And she stopped, and her boyfriend at the time proposed.
Oh, my goodness.
Got on his knee, and in my head, again, it's only like my second race ever. And I go, "Oh, he's going to ruin her time." And so years later, they are married, they have a child. She's still a big runner. So for a story about running and what it can do. So when she says running will take you places and bring people into your life at the best time, I thought that was a good introspection from someone who literally had someone come into their life at the best time.
That's funny.
Tracy, we know Tracy.
Yeah. Strength training. I do think strength training is important, more from a staying balanced perspective. You got to stay balanced.
Don't
do
want to fall down.
one-legged stuff. Yeah. Keep your core strong. That helps with longevity.
So Eric, and this was one I thought we might see. Don't get well-made running shoes that someone at a running store has helped you find. Don't run them so their soles are flat. Like,
don't pick them out because they're cute.
Don't pick them out because they're cute.
I mean, I know we want to be cute, but
But this one made me laugh because this was Eric saying back to himself when he started running back in the 70s, and he says, "Those shorty shorts look weird."
Yeah, well, he was like super fast back in the day. And the super fast guys tend to wear shorty shorts. So
shorty shorts.
I think you should rock the shorty shorts, Eric. I do. Everybody should rock the shorty shorts if they can.
And so thank you, Eric, for having a little introspection on what you might have looked like. But we are proud of you. And then we heard from Rosario also on our Strava group. And I wanted to include this one, even though we talk about it a lot, because I feel like we got to somebody. We got to somebody who wasn't in our in our circle before. Rosario said, "I wish I knew you didn't need to go 100% all the time." It's just not something that I don't think it's inherent that people think.
No, and if you're training for something, and I say this all the time, if you're training for something and you start running longer on the weekends and you need to take a nap to make it through your day, like, that's too hard. Like, it just is too hard. Like, I'm not saying that taking a nap is bad, because naps are great. But if you can't make it through your day because you have to have a nap, you ran your run too hard. Like, or if you have a really bad exertion headache, or, save those hard efforts for like when you need to do them, which is a race.
Which is the race, the whole reason why we're doing this. Kristen was also, she took mine, which is find running friends. And that's for multiple reasons. Again, you can learn from them. They keep you accountable.
Yeah.
You become very, very close friends because of how vulnerable the walls come down pretty quickly around your running friends.
And have lots of different running friends. Like, I have run with people that are sub 3 hour marathoners, and I've run with people that are 7 hour marathoners. Like, I can run with anybody in between. So don't limit yourself. Like, if you need to slow down on your easy days, find somebody that's a little slower and run with them. Like, people just are so afraid to, like, well, this is my group and I don't know. But you can run in all sorts of different circles. And like, even if you have a hard day and you want to do a tempo run and you want to run with the faster group, go find the faster group for that one day. Just use people, to help you along. And you might not be able to talk to them if it's a tempo run, but you can listen.
And you can also, and they continue to learn. That's what I said, because, your one group, that you use them for their knowledge, and then go to a different group, use them for their knowledge.
There is nobody on earth that doesn't have something to teach you.
Right.
They're even in every walk of life. So go learn, like, ask questions. If you can't talk, just listen. It can make the run go a lot quicker.
Yes, it can. Marie said something really interesting, is that, running feels different every day. We've talked about the law of the thirds, because you're only a third of your runs are going to feel great. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah. And don't overanalyze it, right? Like, oh, it's just a bad day.
Bad day.
Check.
Every day is going to look different. Yeah. Today was great. Tomorrow, maybe not so great.
I mean, I always like to go through your checklist, but go through your checklist, make sure you're eating enough, make sure you're sleeping enough. And then if you've done all that stuff and you still have a bad day, oh, well, it just was a bad day.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Verity says patience is a virtue and food is your friend.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Because when you're trying to run for the rest of your life, or 90 years, or however long you want to run, you can't, if you don't have patience, you're going to run yourself right, into the ground.
Yeah. And also the food thing, a lot of people start running because they want to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And you do lose weight at first. But if you run in that calorie deficit for too long, it can cause major problems. So, it's not something to fear. Food is not something to fear.
And Mel says, stop comparing yourself to others. As we said, it is okay to walk.
It is. Sure thing.
We're all out there. We're all loving it. We're all running for fun. Spencer.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yes.
I love this one, Spencer.
You need electrolytes. The water ain't gonna cut it.
I can't tell you how many times I see people still drinking 120 ounces of water a day.
Oof.
Like, guys, that's not doing anything for you. I'm going to tell you right now. Like, it's just not. You're just peeing out a bunch of water. So salt is really important. Electrolytes are really important, especially in Florida. I mean, obviously, if you have hypertension, don't salt things crazy. But if you are healthy, you should be salting stuff and taking in electrolytes. Like, water is not going to cut it.
And you feel so much better.
Oh, yeah.
You feel so much better when you just have a Gatorade or have a electrolyte mix or whatever it is. Because I didn't do it. Again, all these things I wish that I had known when I first started. I drank a little water after my run and then wondered why I was lightheaded for the rest of the day.
Yeah. And have a headache, right?
Yeah.
I have 16 ounces of salt water every morning when I wake up. Every single morning. I down it before, because actually coffee also leaches salt from your body. So if you drink coffee, it pulls salt. So you need to drink more salt if you're drinking coffee.
How much salt are you putting in the 16 ounces?
I have an electrolyte salt drink. I'll show it to you and we can talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, it's called Relight. And I just put a scoop in my water and I down it when I wake up. And then I have my coffee. So I'm not leaching my body right away.
Because that's what we can say, that the vices can come after you've done the right things. If you want to have a drink after a race, make sure you've had your protein and your carbs, and then you can have
Exactly. And the thing is, that's related to energy. So if you're tired, your electrolyte balance might be off. So try drinking salt water. They make a lot of good electrolyte drinks.
They do.
Or you can also take pills. They have salt pills that you can take if you don't want to drink it. But you do need some fluid too. So,
and Trixie, you're going to be able to eat so much crap. I think that goes back to don't fear food.
Yes. And I kind of love this one. Now, Trixie's like a teeny human.
Yes.
She's a teeny, like full of muscles, amazing athlete. And actually, here's the thing. She has a lot of muscle, so she can eat more, which this is what I try to tell you. Like, don't fear food, because then you're able to build more muscle or keep the muscle that you have, and then your metabolism doesn't slow down. But with age, if you lose that muscle, which is why I freak out a little bit about the diet stuff that's going on right now with the diet pills, because people are losing a lot of muscle.
Yes.
And that's like your gold. That's your liquid gold, like your muscle. So, eat it. Like it has been shown in research that you are better off being a little heavier and staying the same weight than you are to go up and down and fluctuate. It's healthier to do that. So Don't be afraid of food. Don't be afraid, please.
And we got another Facebook comment as well from Madison Caldill. She says, first race advice, don't start out too fast. I made that mistake. And Madison, I think we've all
and the funny part about this, Luke says this all the time. He's like, honey, I don't get why everybody struggles with this, because my dad, who knows nothing about running, has been telling me since I was a kid, don't start out too fast. Don't start out too fast. And we all do it. I'm like, what is that is like the age old rule. Don't start out too fast.
You get so excited. All that adrenaline is built up. And you have to force yourself. So if you don't know to force yourself to go slower, it's easy to do, to not go out to go out too fast. But we all struggle with it.
Well, and it's so funny. I was in a race one time, and it was a 5K, and this little boy, he was maybe 10. He goes out the gate flying, and I heard his mom go, "Hey, get back here!" And he turns around and he goes, "What? How am I supposed to win then?" I'm like, I was laughing, the poor kid.
Hey, we all have
Don't
goals.
go out too fast.
Don't go out too fast. And if you do, not everything goes as planned, according to Pam. You got to learn to improvise. And this is where I started again thinking, the metaphor for life. Life is definitely not going to go out as planned. So whatever race or whatever run you did, you're going to have to improvise.
And we can't control everything, right? And that's like a huge life lesson. We always want to control the outcomes of everything, and we want to control our people's perception of you, and that you want to control. But the reality is the only thing you can control is your effort and your reaction to things. So you have to be able to just go with it.
And the final one for the day, Stephanie, this one gets a round of applause. The first mile is a liar.
Yeah.
My husband one time when I first started running was like, how fast do you think you could run a mile? And I was like, well, I don't know that, because the first mile is always terrible. So I'd never really ever tried to run a mile, but you certainly wouldn't judge that first mile on the first few steps.
No. And like when I'm warming up for a race, almost always my warm up sucks. It feels like, and actually the more miles you run, the longer those miles are. So you'll have 3 or 4 miles that really suck until you get into it. And the more conditioned you are, the more it takes to warm up. Now, foam rolling can help with that. If you foam roll before, it can make it a little less daunting, but it's still going to suck until you get into it.
And that first mile, it can be real bad. Every time I go for a run, I get to the mile marker, I was like, okay, that's over.
Yeah.
I still have many more miles to go, but when I get that first mile out of the way.
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people, and I try to stop people from saying things, because what you say becomes what you do. And so you have to be really careful. If you're warming up for a race and your legs feel crappy, the worst thing you can do is say, oh, this race is not going to be good because my legs feel bad. Like, that is the worst thing that you can say, because that's affirming something that's not true. So just say, oh, it's that first mile's a liar.
First mile's a liar.
I'm going to go out there and make it hurt.
Yes.
And hurting is okay.
But also not we're not going to go out too fast.
Yeah, but we're not going to.
But it's going to start to hurt, and hurting's okay, because this is the only time we're going to really go to pull that out is in the race, and it starts to hurt.
Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned this a couple of times, so we're going to go and go to your coach's drill.
Yeah.
So that because I know that, so we don't talk about it too much. So, the coach always has thoughts on things, and she actually has a story about don't be afraid to eat in her coach's drill.
Yeah. So I've been working on this myself, and I'm a coach, and I know this, and I still need to work on this. So I did the Donna Half Marathon, and I did a workout on Sunday, and I didn't even really do that hard of a workout. I was just kind of testing the waters out. I did, 4 miles and 2 miles and 1 at tempo. And afterwards, my coach was like, I need you to eat 3,000 calories a day. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, well, I didn't work that hard. I really should. And she's like, eat the calories. I'm like, okay. So I ate 3,000 calories. This morning I went to go do my track workout, and I was feeling really lousy. And I was like, oh, I just don't know if I really want to do this. I'm just going to run easy, and I'll do the workout tomorrow. But then I started the workout, and I recovered, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. So my point is, eat. I only did 14 miles on Sunday. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't go to the well, but I still needed all that for recovery. And wow, what a difference it made. So eat. And listen, I'm a little girl. Like, I am not like, I do have a lot of muscle, but I don't weigh that much. Like 3,000 calories is a lot of calories for me to eat. It's okay.
It's okay. Well, it's I wanted you to tell that story because it's refreshing to hear someone who you've been preaching it.
Yeah.
But then you're just like, I
It's
can still
hard for
learn.
me
I can
to
still do
do.
it. And it's how much better you felt.
Yeah. And I've been eating baseline 2,400 calories for a couple weeks now, but it took me 2 years to get up to 2,400 calories so that my body can maintain. Am I carrying a little extra weight than I would like to? Yeah, but like, I'm performing really well, and it's okay, and my hormones are correct, and I'm recovering, and I'm happier, and I'm a happier runner. If I'm a happier runner, I'm going to stay out there, right? So like, don't be so hard on yourself. Really, just eat the food and nourish your body, and think of it like fuel.
And do you actually like journal all the calories?
I track all my, because I have a tendency to undereat, not on purpose. I'm not a big food person. I'm like, food, I just have to do it. So I hired a coach to like be on me about eating, and she's on me.
Well, good. And you seem so much happier about all of your running.
Yes, I'm very happy. I'm like recovering. Where I used to be? No, but my number one goal is to keep my immune system strong. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to keep your immune system strong, it's already hard enough on your body to run. Like we're asking our body to do a lot of hard things. If you're asking your body to perform without food, you're spiking your cortisol so high, and your body's going to one day your body's just going to flip you off. It really is, whether you like it or not.
It's tired, and it will not work
I'm not
you.
doing this, and you will either be injured or something else will happen. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want to gain muscle like into my 40s. In our 50s, we should be trying to keep it as much as we can. And running is tough on keeping muscle because, we're burning a lot of calories, even if we're efficient.
So food.
Don't be afraid. And don't be afraid of carbohydrates. I ate a lot of carbs. I think I ate 350 grams of carbs on Sunday.
So what do you do? I guess I should ask my coach this, not on a podcast. So what do you, if you just get some food, how do you know how the macros, how do you find that? Do you just Google it?
No, it's on the back.
I know, but some of them, like, they're not like.
MyFitnessPal has it's never going to be 100% accurate, which is why runners freak out. They're like, oh, this isn't accurate. It's going to be 20% wrong, but still it gives you a guideline of what you like. I'm not a proponent of tracking. I only track if I'm training for something because I have to be careful of it. But I'm not a proponent for doing it all the time. But the problem is, like, a lot of people try to intuitive eat, and running suppresses your appetite. So a lot of times, because our cortisol is already too high, if you do intuitive eating, you're not going to get what you need. It's typically what happens. So just get a guideline, figure out what it is, and go with it.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid to eat.
You'll be surprised at how good you'll feel.
Yeah.
Like, if you just feel really good.
And that's the whole point. Is to
Yeah,
feel good, to exercise, to,
Shocker.
to run for fun. I mean, we're
Shocker,
not.
if you have fuel, you're going to feel good. Shocker.
No one is sponsoring us, so we're only out there to have fun. So we're not out there to win it.
No.
Our goal is to have fun and enjoy this sport.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We're actually not going to have a podcast next week. I will be on vacation. So
Oh, well, I hope you have a great vacation.
thank you. All right. We'll see everybody when we get back.
All
Bye.
right, bye.